Religious education around the world is shut your eyes, rock back and forth, memorize the answers, and if you question, you'll get in trouble. Don't get curious, don't ask questions, because that's blasphemous. That'll get you in trouble. The Quran itself, you cannot sit still without asking questions. Allah won't let you be. He'll put a question, He'll inject you with a question, and He'll make you lose sleep and make you ponder. Alhamdulillahi Rabbil Alameen, wa salatu wa salamu ala ashrafil anbiya'i wal mursaleen wa ala alihi wa sahbihi ajma'een, thumma ma ba'd, fa'a'udhu billahi minash shaitanir rajeem, bismillahir rahmanir rahim, Qaf wal Qur'anil Majid. Rabbi shrah li sadri wa yassir li amri wa ahlul 'uqdatan min lisani yafqahu qawli, ameen ya Rabbil Alameen, thumma ma ba'd. Let's begin, inshallah ta'ala, with the unique beginning of Surah Qaf, which is Qaf wal Qur'anil Majid. It begins with the letter Qaf, and what's argued about the meanings of the letter Qaf is as follows. The first and most convincing of those questions is answered by the following: only Allah knows what that means. There's lots of speculation of what it could mean. Some say that it's one of the names of Allah. Others say it's an oath, meaning Allah swears by the letter Qaf. Qaf itself is an oath. Others say it's a challenge, meaning Qaf is just saying the name of a letter, sending shockwaves to the Arabs. How is this man who doesn't even know how to read and write saying the name of a letter? Because he's not supposed to know the names of letters, because he's literally unlettered. He could know the syllable Qa, but why does he know Qaf? Which actually sends the message that he's educated, that he's being educated, he's learning. Then it raises the question, who's his teacher? And then the answer comes, the teacher is Allah. Right? So that's one way of some interpreting it. Others say that these names, Alif Lam Mim, Kaf Ha Ya Ain Sad, Qaf, Tasin, Tasin Mim, these are all, or Alif Lam Mim Ra, these are all names of the surahs they start with. That is less convincing, only because there's like multiple Alif Lam Mims. Right? So if they're names of surahs, then the point of a name is to make something distinct from something else. Right? And that wouldn't serve that purpose. So yes, they are in fact something only Allah knows. There are some unique things about huruf muqatta'at. I don't think this is the right time to talk about them. I'll just say a few things. The vast majority of the time these letters occur, Alif Lam Mim, and Tasin, etc., you'll notice that they're immediately followed by a statement about the Quran. Like Allah will say something powerful about the Quran. For example, Alif Lam Mim, ذَلِكَ الْكِتَابُ لَا رَيْبَ فِيهِ. Alif Lam Mim, Allahu la ilaha illa huwal hayyul qayyum, nazzala alayka al-kitab. He sent the book down to you. Alif Lam Mim Sad, kitabun unzila ilayka. Notice, even if I don't translate, what word will you hear over and over again? Kitab, kitab. Kitab or Quran. Kitab is book, and the written, and Quran is the recital, which is referring to the same. Alif Lam Ra, tilka ayatul kitab al-hakim. Alif Lam Ra, tilka ayatul kitab al-mubin. Alif Lam Ra kitabun anzalnahu ilayka litukhrijan nas min adh-dhulumati ila an-nur. Taha ma anzalna alayka al-Quran litashqa. Tasin Mim tilka ayatul kitab al-mubin. Alif Lam Mim tilka ayatul kitab al-hakim. Ha Mim tanzilun min ar-Rahman ar-Rahim kitabun fussilat ayatuhu. Over and over. Or it's going to either be kitab, or it's going to be Quran, or it's going to be tanzil. Okay? Ha Mim wal kitab al-mubin. Ha Mim tanzil. Ha Mim wal kitab. Over and over again. Okay? Now, there are only 3 surahs that begin with a single letter. Noon, Qaf, and Sad. Noon and Qaf and Sad. Actually, I'm going in reverse order. The first in the order of the Quran is Sad, then there's Qaf, and then there's Noon. Okay? And interestingly enough, when they're one letter, they're actually one ayah. So they're not a separate ayah by themselves, they're merged with what's coming. So Noon wal qalami wa ma yasturun is one ayah. Sad wal Qur'ani dhikr is one ayah. Qaf wal Qur'an al-Majid is one ayah. So they come together. If you compare this to Alif Lam Mim, what happens? Alif Lam Mim is by itself, and then there's an ayah. Okay, so when it's one letter, then it's merged together. When it's 2 letters, for example, Yasin, Taha, those are separated. Yasin, ayah, wal Qur'an al-Hakim, separate ayah. Okay. Now, what's really also pretty interesting is that Sad is wal Qur'ani, I swear by the Qur'an. Followed immediately, Sad, I swear by the Qur'an. Qaf also, I swear by the Qur'an. Noon, I swear by the pen and what they write. And most scholars agree this is the revelation of the Qur'an being documented so that it can be sent down. From the original manuscript that is with Allah, it's copied and then sent down. وَمَا يَسْطُرُونَ. So each of these surahs begin with an oath by the Quran. Each of these surahs end, the surah that we're studying today is going to end with فَذَكِّرْ بِالْقُرْآنِ مَنْ يَخَافُ وَعِيدٍ. Remind with the Quran. Remind. Surah Sad is going to end إِنْ هُوَ إِلَّا ذِكْرٌ لِلْعَالَمِينَ وَلَتَعْلَمُنَّ نَبَأَهُ بَعْدَ حِينٍ. It's only a reminder. Surah Qalam, Noon will end وَمَا هُوَ إِلَّا ذِكْرٌ لِلْعَالَمِينَ. It is nothing but a reminder. Reminder, reminder, remind. They begin the same way, they end the same way. They're dispersed in the Quran. They're in 3 different places. They're different surahs, but they begin the same way and they include similar statements in them. As a matter of fact, even بَلْعَجِبُوا أَنْ جَاءَهُمْ مُنذِرٌ مِّنْهُمْ, a very similar ayah to this occurs in Surah Sad. وَعَجِبُوا أَنْ جَاءَهُمْ مُنذِرٌ مِّنْهُم. You know, it highlights another dimension of the same problem, which I haven't translated yet. Now I want to get straight beyond the letter Qaf and Qaf and Noon and Sad. I want to get to the oath itself. When Allah says, وَالْقُرْآنِ الْمَجِيدِ, I swear by the Quran, and then it's given the attribute Majid. Uniquely in the Quran, the word Majid is used to describe 2 entities. The Quran itself is described as Majid here and elsewhere. بَلْ هُوَ قُرْآنٌ مَجِيدٌ فِي لَوْحٍ مَحْفُوظ, right? And then ذُو الْعَرْشِ الْمَجِيدُ فَعَّالٌ لِمَا يُرِيدُ. The Arsh of Allah, the grand throne of Allah, is also called Majid. So the 2 things that are called Majid are the Arsh and the Quran. Right, those are the 2. Okay. Now we're going to dig into the word Majid a little bit later, but first I want to tell you what this oath means. What's the purpose of taking an oath? In most societies, an oath is taken for the purpose of testimony. For the purpose of testimony. I swear to tell the truth, nothing but the truth, most of the truth, so help me God and my lawyer, etc. Right? So the idea of an oath is to take testimony. That's the context in which it occurs. It also is used to convince someone of either what happened or what's going on or what's going to happen. I swear I was sick, that's why I didn't come. I swear they're already here. I swear I'm going to come tomorrow. Whether it's the past, present, or future, in order to convince someone, you take an oath. That's something ancient, and it even happens today. So the first context in our usage, in language across societies, is that of testimony, and the second usage of an oath is to convince. And it's typically used when you convince someone who's not believing what you're saying. Meaning, if you just said, I'm going to be there tomorrow, it just wasn't enough for them. You had to say, I swear to God, I'll be there tomorrow. You had to add that in, right? So it was as though this was going to add some kind of credibility to what you're saying. And you had to stake your credibility on the claim. Now, in Arabic literature, oaths additionally, serve another function. We're not getting to the Quran yet. So the first thing I wanted to share with you is some things about oaths in general. And then the next thing is about oaths in Arab culture in addition. Meaning Arabs also use an oath to convince you. Arabs also use an oath in testimony. But then in additional usage for the Arabs is actually to get your attention. So if you guys were all talking, like right after Jummah prayer, and I was trying to get your attention. Excuse me, could you please pay attention over here? I just have one announcement. Or if I was Arab, Wallahi al-Azim. What's up? The oath is actually a kind of listen up. It's a kind of shut up and listen in Arab literature. And the thing is, you don't just say, I swear. You say, I swear by something. You say, I swear by something. So when I was pretending the Arab line, I said, Wallahi al-Azim. So what did I swear by? I swear by Allah. But the Arabs before would say, Wa sabaha. I swear by the morning that's coming. I swear by the night. I swear by our enemy. Whatever they swore by is actually their way of getting your attention. You know how nowadays on your phones you have different ringtones for different people? Right? So if a certain family member calls you, you hear like alert and skulls show up on the, There's certain ways of communicating certain messages. Well, they'll swear by something to give you an idea that they want your attention and it's important and it kind of has to do with the thing that they're swearing by. So if they say, I swear by the morning, something bad is about to go down when? In the morning. Listen up. This is urgent because morning is near. You got it? So this was their way of garnering your attention. Sometimes they would do this not just to make you think this is associated with what's coming or what it's related to, but also they'll swear by something that is important to you or that is grand. You know, I swear by the stars. Really? This must be a big deal. What are you going to tell me? You know, so the idea of aggrandizing. Now the thing is, what you swear by has to be, this is one of the things in Arabic culture, what you swear by technically had to be greater than yourself. Remember, one of the functions of taking an oath is to convince someone. Because your own self was not credible enough. So you have to call on something that is more credible than yourself. I swear by my mother. Da 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 da. You're saying my mom is much more credible than I am, and you don't have to believe me, but come on, give my mom some credit, and now believe me. You see what I'm saying? So when you swear by something, typically you swear by something greater than who? Yourself. And you do that because your credibility wasn't enough, you're using the object's credibility. That's called in English literature, we'll call it the object of the oath. You use the object of the oath. In Arabic we call it al-muqsamu bihi. The Arabic term is al-muqsam bihi. The English will say the object, the thing you're swearing by. It's used to give you credibility, and that's why, by definition, it has to be something greater than yourself. You can't say, I swear by my janitor. But you might say, I swear by the king. Right? You can't say, I swear by my goat. Because it just says a lot about your credibility, that you think the goat has a better chance. You see what I'm saying? So this is important because, you know, mufassirun, interpreters of the Quran, they said Allah swears by things in the Quran. Allah swears by time, Allah swears by the morning, Allah swears by the night, Allah swears by the day, Allah swears by like the sun, the moon. وَالشَّمْسِ وَضُحَاهَا وَالْقَمَرِ ذَاتَ لَهَا. He swears by the fig and the olive. And they would say, then the mufassirun would say, well, Allah swearing by the fig means the fig is really important. You may have heard this before. Or Allah is telling you how grand the sun is by swearing by the sun. Or He's telling you how amazing the moon is by swearing by the moon. Other scholars went on to criticize this view. And I agree with that position, the criticism of that view. If Allah wants to tell me something is great, He can tell me something is great. But if you use the convention that when you swear by something, you're trying to say that it's great, that was originally done to establish what? Credibility. So you swear by something greater than yourself. Guys, sorry for the interruption in the middle of this lecture. Just before you continue, I want to let you know and encourage you that I want you to sign up for BayyinahTV.com and help others sign up or even sponsor students for BayyinahTV.com so we can create worldwide communities of students that are studying the meanings and the benefit and the wisdom of the Quran and are, inshallah ta'ala, spreading that in their own circles. Thanks so much. Allah does not swear by something because it's great. Because that would mean He needs it for credibility. He doesn't. He's above that. You get it? So there must be some other function, other purpose for which Allah swears. You understand? The other thing that Hamiduddin Farahi, one of my heroes in Islamic studies and Quranic studies, argued is, so what if it's great? What does that have to do with this surah? The fig is great, the olive is great, the mountain of Sinai is great, the city is great. Human beings were created in the best form. What does the fig and the olive and Mount Sinai being great have to do with how does that change? And by the way, you can make them great. Why don't you take these oaths and put them in Surah Al-Adiyat and put the oaths in Surah Al-Adiyat over here. You know, وَالْعَادِيَاتِ ضَبْحًا, the horses that pant and they go, they're great. فَالْمُورِيَاتِ قَدْحًا, and I swear by them as sparks fly out of them. They're also, as the sparks fly, that's also great. It's like you can put them in any surah, they'll still be great. That's the point of them. There's no point in actually using them in a particular surah if the only purpose is to say they're awesome. There's got to be something more. And this is where the idea, Hamiduddin Farahi's idea goes far, and then there are other people like Bint Shati. I just read recently, I read the article, Sharif, that you sent me, but I also read her own writings on the subject. Basically two things. And I can combine both of them to present that view to you. Hamiduddin Farahi is saying, just like actually Ibn Qayyim kind of alluded to, rahimahullah, that when Allah swears by something, He's making you pay attention to whatever it is that He swore by, because whatever He's going to say after that, He's mentally preparing you for it. He's actually using it as evidence for what He's going to say. So the object of the oath is actually a kind of proof. It's a kind of proof. He would say two things. He would say it's a kind of proof and it's a kind of witness. So for example, to make this easy for you, because it sounds like up high in the sky, I swear by time, wal asr, innal insana lafi khusr, human beings, each human being is in loss, yeah? He'll say that time is proof that human beings are in loss. That Allah has made, by swearing by time, He has made time proof that human beings are in loss. He will also add that by swearing by time, Allah has made time a witness. So I would interpret, time is witness that human beings are in loss. There has been no greater witness to the loss of humanity than what thing? Time. You understand? And so he'll use this approach to interpret a huge number of oaths in the Quran. This works for many, it doesn't work for all, but certainly is a much more plausible approach to the study of oaths. I would argue actually not only is it evidence, or not necessarily is it evidence, but it's actually mental preparation for what's coming. I think that covers the spectrum of it. When Allah takes an oath by something, He's actually taking your mind in a particular direction. And when He's taking your mind in that direction, He's now mentally preparing you for what is to come. It is true in many, many cases, it is in fact literally an evidence. My favorite example is وَالْعَادِيَاتِ ضَبْحًا. When Allah swears by panting horses that are going to raid in the middle of a morning, early morning. By the way, when you have a few horses, adiyat, to raid the village or raid the enemy, then you should have more horses. But the oath is done of very few horses. And if you have very few horses, the best time to attack is in the middle of the night, because you can use the cover of dark to get away. But it's فَالْمُغِيرَاتِ صُبْحًا. They're raiding in the morning time. They don't care. And you should raid on the sides, not in the middle. You should raid on the outskirts. But he says, فَوَسَطْنَا بِهِ جَمْعًا. They go right and penetrate all together into the middle. And if you just have a few, because you have a few, you should disperse. But they're jam'a, they stay together and they go, like it's death, literally, right? So it defies the logic of a raid, that oath. And Allah is saying these horses, because it's not about the riders actually, the oath is about the horses, al-adiyat, The horses are showing suicidal tendencies in order to be loyal to their riders. Animals run from danger. Animals by nature get away from death. These horses, just because their rider tells them to march, are marching into what even they can see as what? As death. What an incredible show of what? Loyalty. And that's why the very next statement sinks into the mind, إِنَّ الْإِنسَانَ لِرَبِّهِ لَكَنُودٌ. No doubt the human being is truly disloyal to his master. Like that's the point that's made. Look, learn from the loyalty of the horse. So he brought to mind the concept of loyalty and used it as evidence against the disloyalty of the human being. You see what just happened there? It's remarkable what he did there. So now there are two things. Right? Let's take a step back and understand what we're doing in Surah Qaf. There are two things. There's the object of the oath, which in the example I just gave you was horses. And there's the subject of the oath, which is human beings are disloyal. There's the object and there's the subject. And they're supposed to be related to each other in some unique way. But sometimes, actually multiple times in the Quran, Allah will mention an oath, He'll obviously give it an object, and He won't mention a subject. He just won't mention it. It's almost like saying, I swear to God, okay, see ya. Look, you're like, you just took an oath. You gave me this grand object. Where's the what? Subject. I need a subject. Because the reason you take an oath that is universal is you get somebody's attention because you're going to tell him something. He'll get your attention. Hey, listen here. I swear by this really important thing. And then he won't tell you nothing. He'll just move on. And you're left, what do I do now? That is what happens in Surah Qaf. قاف والقرآن المجيد وأين جواب القسم؟ جواب القسم محذوف. نؤمن بالغيب. We believe in the unseen. I swear by the Quran full of grace, full of majesty, full of dignity, full of nobility. I'll get to the word Majid still. I swear by that Quran. I call upon that Quran as evidence. That Quran is witness. The majesty of this Quran is witness. The nobility of this Quran is witness. And I'm listening going, witness to what? Witness to what? You swear by this and what are you going to tell me? Now if you compare this, the closest comparison to this in the Quran is actually Yasin. وَالْقُرْآنِ الْحَكِيمِ. I swear by the Quran full of wisdom. Okay, I'm going to make you, I'm going to call upon the wisdom of the Quran as proof. Proof of what? إِنَّكَ لَمِنَ الْمُرْسَلِينَ. No doubt you are from those that have been sent. This wisdom is not humanly possible. I make the wisdom of the Quran a proof that you're a messenger. That's what he did in Surah what? Yasin. I was expecting something similar here. I was expecting him to say, oh God, okay, I got it. I was expecting him to say, وَالْقُرْآنِ الْمَجِيدِ إِنَّكَ لَمِنَ الْمُرْسَلِينَ. By the grace, the nobility, and the majesty of the Quran, I swear and I call upon it as evidence, you in fact are a messenger. You certainly are. He didn't say it. The question is, why didn't he say it? By the way, most Mufassirun extrapolate, well, he did it in Yasin, so it must mean the same thing here. That's what most Mufassirun have done. استدلوا بالآية من سورة Yasin. They draw the evidence from Surah Yasin and say, well, by the object of the Quran, he meant that the Prophet is in fact a messenger. He must have meant the same thing here. I don't disagree. My problem though is, this is Meccan Quran. And there are always going to be two audiences for Meccan Quran, believers and disbelievers. Madani Quran, you can argue, the primary audience is who? Believers. Ya ayyuha alladhina amanu. But Meccan Quran is Ya ayyuhan nas. It's very likely somebody's listening to this Meccan Quran that has never heard Quran before, or has heard very little of the Quran. And they are also hearing, I am bringing the nobility of the Quran, I'm calling upon the nobility and the grace and the majesty of the Quran as witness to a fact that I shall not mention. What are they supposed to think? Because they don't know Surah Yasin. My point is, a lot of people that are going to be listening to this in Makkah, at the time it's revealed, are not going to say, well, no, I remember Surah Yasin, it was إِنَّكَ لَمِنَ الْمُرْسَلِينَ, I can make that connection over here. Mufassirun can do that because they are a believing audience. But what about the original audience? We can't ignore that. And if you ignore that, you're ignoring the original logic of the surah. Right? So we have to balance those two things. Sometimes the istidlal from the Quran, bringing to evidence from somewhere else in the Quran, is helpful in us deepening our understanding. But the original understanding has to be, this was communicated without background to people. This was given just straight. And there's no conclusive way of saying Yasin was already revealed and Qaf was revealed later. There's no way to say that. We don't even know, maybe Yasin wasn't even revealed yet. Maybe that answer came later and the question came first. The point that I would make, humbly suggest, is when Allah doesn't mention something, He means not to mention something. For a teacher, mentioning something has an educational purpose, and not mentioning something has an educational purpose. Assalamu alaikum everyone. There are almost 50,000 students around the world that are interested, on top of the students we have, in studying the Quran and its meanings and being able to learn that and share that with family and friends. And they need sponsorships, which is not very expensive. So if you can help sponsor students on Bayyinah TV, please do so and visit our sponsorship page. I appreciate it so much and pray that Allah gives our mission success and we're able to share the meanings of the Quran and the beauty of it the world over.